Hi, my name is LaTanya Walker, and I'm a resident of Blacksburg. I live in the Woodbine community, and my family's been a part of Blacksburg and Montgomery County since the early 1800s. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background as we talk about Oddfellows Hall, but I am here today to represent the Montgomery County Community Review Council. And we're an organization committed to promoting equity in the preservation of the county's diversity. And our purpose is to educate the general public about the under-preservation and neglect of Oddfellows Hall today. A bit of background information. Gilbert Vaughn became the first resident of Newtown in 1974 when he purchased the first plot of land. He was formerly enslaved on the whole plantation. This historically segregated neighborhood was vibrant into the 1960s. And for more than 60 years, on May 13th, the leaders of the Tadmore Lodge, number 6184 of the Grand United Order of Oddfellows, purchased a small lot on the corner of Barger and Gilbert Streets. And for more than 60 years, the hall became a central place to hold regular meetings and social gatherings, collect dues, and support members economically with insurance and estate management. It also served as a meeting space for the Order of St. Luke, the Busy Bee Society, the Household of Ruth Lodge 5533 of the Grand United Order of Oddfellows. Oddfellows helped keep Black Americans on their feet through the Great Depression and the Jim Crow era by offering loans and grants to community members in need, and it served as a welcoming space for African Americans. In the 1970s, road construction and other development resulted in the decline of Newtown as a predominantly African American neighborhood. Nonetheless, Newtown and St. Luke and Oddfellows Hall are important reminders of the resilience, pride, and community spirit of the people who lived in this neighborhood, as well as the injustice that segregation imposed. Just to talk a little bit about some of the things we are concerned with today. I'll let Christine.
Just keep the slide on the screen. My name is Christine King. I am also a member of the Montgomery County Community Review Council. I am a descendant of Aubrey Mills Sr., and I'm from the Nellie's Cave community in Blacksburg, which is actually one of the oldest Black communities in Virginia itself. Continuing where LaTanya had left off, as the committee, we have noticed that there is a problem with the institutional neglect and under-preservation of Oddfellows Hall, a lack of cultural competence as far as the preservation. There was recently a survey conducted with the CAP report that was initiated by Kate Skelly of Oddfellows Hall, and that did reveal that the building itself is not safe to be in. There's also a significant lack of racial and gender diversity on the board as far as the Blacksburg Cultural Museum Foundation. There are reports of workplace harassment and discrimination on the basis of race and gender, as well as museum best practices and industry standards are not being followed. With those problems, next slide please, we do also have some solutions that we had brought for attention. If I get my notes. All right, so the solutions that we have come to term is to amend the annual agreement between the town of Blacksburg and the BMCF board to include increased town oversight to ensure that the BMCF board is in compliance with its articles of incorporation, bylaws, open meeting law, workplace safety and law, financial transparency, and is operating in accordance with industry standards and best practices. We'd also like to recognize our committee as a partner to assist the town of Blacksburg in their commitment to equity and community well-being as outlined in the town's 2022 amended comprehensive plan, which underscores the need for a critical dialogue centered in the historic St. Luke and Oddfellows Hall building, an external investigation into reports of workplace harassment and inequitable treatment of BMCF employees that were articulated before the board decision to terminate Kate Skelly, former BMCF executive director. Next slide, please. And we do have an ask that the Blacksburg Town Council will vote to partner with the Montgomery County Community Review Council in order to uphold and honor the duties and responsibilities that are outlined in the deed of gift of Oddfellows Hall to the town of Blacksburg. On the screen, on that deed of gift there, you see 3 signatures, one being Beatrice Walker, who LaTanya Walker is a descendant of. Aubrey Mills Sr. is my great-grandfather, and you also have Walter Lewis. They gave the deed of gift to the town of Blacksburg to uphold quite a few conditions. Next slide, please. With these conditions, you'll see that they ask that the Oddfellows Hall has the purpose of educating, collecting, preserving, and presenting the history and contributions of Black people in Blacksburg, and so on. But I just wanted to point that out for you.
Good evening. My name is Heather Nicholson. I live in Montgomery County, and I am a member of MCCRC. In April 2021, I left a presentation at St. Luke and Oddfellows distressed by the portrayal of the community that built it. So much so, I reviewed the Virginia Tech archives and emailed the presenting board member of the Blacksburg Museum about the missed opportunity to contextualize this site and its rich history. What I understood then as a missed opportunity, I now see as a derelict of duty by the Blacksburg Museum and Cultural Foundation. The town of Blacksburg needs to recognize that this historic site opens a window into not only Blacksburg history, but Virginia and U.S. history. We know that before the building was constructed, a joint stock company was created between Oddfellows and St. Luke's. This is a profoundly important detail as it illustrates the clear economic priorities as joint stock companies are the forerunner of the modern corporation. This site does not just represent a place to find dignity and demonstrate self-reliance, but rather a systematic, cooperative economic effort that resulted from financial knowledge and community wealth. Maggie L. Walker, at the 1901 Independent Order of St. Luke Annual Convention, laid out her goals. First, we need a savings bank. Let us put our monies together. Let us use our money. Let us put our money out at usury among ourselves and reap the benefit ourselves. Let us have a bank that will take the nickels and turn them into dollars. And they purchased the bank building in Richmond through a joint stock association. This history is supported by a Virginia Tech documented oral history of LaTanya's grandmother, Beatrice Freeman, and LaTanya's great-grandmother traveled throughout Virginia to raise funds for members for the St. Luke's Insurance and Savings Fund. So we can see that what happened here in Blacksburg in 1905 was connected to a large, bold movement of cooperative economics. The Alexander Black House, on full display in Blacksburg, showcases the wealth of one man. But that's not the whole story. St. Luke and Oddfellows represents the wealth of a community, descendants of formerly enslaved people, emancipated into unjust laws and practices, legally barred from economic and educational spaces, who cooperatively and systematically built their future. Blacksburg has the responsibility to honor, protect, and preserve it, and publicly share it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jody Daniels, and I live in Blacksburg. I am a member of the Montgomery County Community Review Council, MCCRC. As the chair of the History and Preservation Committee at the Blacksburg Museum and volunteer collections manager, I am concerned about the preservation and the curation of the museum's artifacts. Especially alarming are the valuable artifacts that have been deeded to the museum by the African Americans who have lived in the displaced communities of Nellie's Cave and Newtown, and in the historic neighborhoods of Jackson, Clay, and Lee. Citizens of Blacksburg, like the trustees of St. Luke and Oddfellows, have entrusted important family and communities history, believing that their contributions would be preserved for future generations. It is my opinion, and that of the recent Conservation Assessment Program report of the buildings and collection, the museum has many issues to address. The insurance policy on the collection was not paid between 2019 and 2021. The collection has been housed in a non-climate controlled, unsecured basement since 2014. The American Alliance of Museums' best management practices have not been consistently followed. Less than 1/3 of the collection has been properly curated. No line item dedicated funding for curation has been provided. The most egregious issue noted in the recent report was the poor state and treatment of rare objects found in the St. Luke and Oddfellows Hall. I present 3 suggestions to resolve some of these issues. Number 1, hire a professional museum consultant with historic preservation expertise in African American culture to evaluate the status of the museum's collection and determine the financial and cultural competency of the museum to support this collection. Another suggestion, assist the museum in securing a more appropriate and safe space for the collection. Secure written assurances from the museum that dedicated funding will be provided to curate the collection according to best management practices. Require quality control reporting to the town. The August Town and Museum Agreement should reflect this. The last suggestion is the town or museum could deed the collection temporarily or permanently to another local museum with a robust and healthy collections program to provide immediate and culturally competent preservation and public access through digitization. This transfer should include funding. Thank you very much. I have a copy of the agreement that was signed August 14th, 2018 between the town and the museum.
Hello, my name is Tony Pitts. My husband and I moved to Blacksburg in June of 2022. One of the first things I did when I got here was I took Hugh Campbell's class at LLI to learn more about the history of Blacksburg. This led me to the Black House. I'm very interested in history and particularly African American history. The little building in the shadow of the Wendy's restaurant and dwarfed by Virginia Tech was a curiosity to me. I was able to learn about Oddfellows Hall because I met kind people in town who introduced me to many special things about living in Blacksburg and becoming a Hokie. Although my family roots are not in Virginia, I feel kinship with the people who lived in Newtown and who built the Oddfellows Hall. We share something in common. The places where my family could live and socialize were also limited by Jim Crow and restrictive housing covenants. The Oddfellows Hall is part of Virginia's history. It's significant because it was built at a time and in a place when Black people could not gather in public. It was the social center for Newtown and the surrounding communities. I believe the town of Blacksburg has a responsibility to preserve this building, not only because it's on the National Historic Register, because it maintains continuity between the past and the present. Whenever I travel, I look for historical representation of the influences of African Americans. I certainly look for the same representation in my new hometown. It would be immoral to disregard and neglect the building that has meant so much to African Americans in the areas surrounding Newtown. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Nikki Giovanni. I live actually in Christiansburg in Flint Drive, 1000 Flint Drive. And I thank you for allowing me to speak because I'm not a Blacksburgan. But I am excited about, of course, the Oddfellow. I came not with a comment because I don't actually have one, but with a question. I don't understand why Blacksburg is not incredibly proud of what we have built here and of what these, we've got a sign that says a special place, but when I came here 36 years ago, it was a different place. It has grown. It's a place that we should be proud of. We now have a first-class university at which I just taught. And I just don't know what the city, and I'm not accusing but bringing, what are we afraid of in saving a building and in dealing with the history of Newtown? Because it's a wonderful place and it's something that we should be proud of. It's something we should boast. And so I had a question, and that was my question. What are we afraid of? Because it's something we should be proud of. And I am, and I hope that we all are. This is a wonderful place to be, and I think that we should be proud of being in Blacksburg and of the progress. Look at the progress we have made in these years. So I just wanted to come and share what I think about having been here and having taught at a great university. So, thank you.
Glad you came.
My name is Dolores Walker. Right now I live in Rafford, Virginia, but I am a townie. I went to elementary school here. I went to Christiansburg Institute, and then I went to Norfolk State College. I'm trying to figure out why piece by piece by piece, this town has leveled black neighborhoods and the town and the Oddfellows Hall. That's the last remnant of what used to be a thriving black neighborhood. And that's all that's left. Now, I don't know if it was institutionalized racism, but that's how I feel. Because one by one by one, all our black neighborhoods are gone. Now, you could say the city was progressive, but it seems like the only way the city progresses is tearing down what is black in Blacksburg. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Jackson Street used to be black, but what happened? This is where you decided to put the fire department. All around that street was black. But what happened? And now you're going to do it to our fellows' home? There are no words.